You won't believe what happened during this ID refusal encounter. As the camera rolls, we meet a dedicated female cop who instantly reminds everyone of Officer Judy Hopps from Zootopia. The resemblance is uncanny. Her professionalism, sharp instincts, and calm demeanor shine through as she handles a tricky situation that's equal parts tense and surprising. The video kicks off with a driver questioning their rights, sparking a polite but firm back and forth about identification laws. But there's more to this moment than just a routine stop. The officer's quick wit and composed attitude create a fascinating dynamic that keeps everyone on edge. And just when you think you've seen it all, the story takes an unexpected turn. Whether you're here for the legal debate, the uncanny Judy Hopps vibe, or the suspense of what happens next, this is one encounter you don't want to miss. Stay tuned as we dive into one of the most intriguing and unexpected ID refusal moments yet. As the officer stands by the driver's window, her calm yet commanding presence sets the tone. The driver, clearly familiar with ID refusal laws, starts quoting legal terms and challenging the reason for the stop. But this officer isn't rattled. She listens intently, responding with measured confidence that shows she knows the rules just as well. Her resemblance to Judy Hopps only adds to the scene, making it feel like something out of a movie. Meanwhile, the driver's demeanor shifts between assertive and cautious, as though they're testing the waters to see how far they can push. The tension builds with every exchange, as viewers are left wondering who has the upper hand. The officer remains professional, but there's a subtle determination in her tone, a quiet strength that suggests she's not about to back down. But what's the real story here? Is the driver holding back something? Or is the officer about to reveal information that changes everything? The suspense lingers, leaving everyone on edge. The conversation grows more layered as the driver begins questioning the officer's motives. Am I being detained, or am I free to go? They ask, their tone firm but not confrontational. The officer doesn't flinch, her expression unreadable as she calmly reiterates her reason for the stop. It's a subtle battle of wills, and both sides seem determined not to give an inch. Meanwhile, a small crowd of bystanders begins to gather at a distance, drawn in by the unusual standoff. Some watch with curiosity, while others quietly speculate about what might happen next. The driver glances briefly at the gathering eyes, but the officer stays focused, her presence unwavering. It's clear she's handled situations like this before, and her steady approach only adds to the suspense. But there's something else happening here, an unspoken tension that feels bigger than just a traffic stop. Is it the driver's unusually specific questions, or the officer's almost instinctive responses, as though she knows more than she's letting on? Every moment adds another layer to the mystery, and the stakes feel higher with each passing second. The driver takes a deep breath, leaning slightly forward as if considering their next move. You still haven't answered my question, they say, their voice steady, but with a hint of frustration creeping in. The officer doesn't waver, her hands resting firmly by her sides, exuding the same calm authority that's carried her through the encounter so far. Her tone shifts slightly, becoming firmer but still respectful. I've been clear about why I stopped you, and now I need your cooperation. The crowd has grown larger now, their whispers filling the air with speculation. Phones are out, recording every moment, adding another layer of pressure to the already charged scene. The officer, though aware of the attention, doesn't let it distract her. She shifts her stance just slightly, her calm eyes never leaving the driver. Then something shifts. The driver hesitates, their hands gripping the wheel tightly, as if weighing a decision. The air feels heavy, the kind of tension that makes you hold your breath, waiting for what's about to happen next. It's a moment on the edge, and no one watching can look away. Just as the driver seems ready to speak, the officer's radio crackles to life, breaking the tense silence. A brief, indistinct message comes through, but the words "possible match" catch the driver's attention. Their expression shifts, just for a moment, before they quickly mask it. The officer's eyes narrow slightly as she steps back, one hand moving to her radio. copy that, she says, her voice calm, but with a noticeable edge of alertness. The crowd stirs, sensing that something has shifted. The driver's hands are now gripping the steering wheel even tighter, their knuckles white. What's going on? They ask, their tones suddenly less confident, almost defensive. The officer doesn't answer right away, her gaze steady as she weighs the situation. You might want to stay where you are, she finally says, her voice firm but measured, a subtle hint that the stakes have just been raised. What did the radio mean by possible match? And why does the driver seem to know more than they're letting on? The tension is electric, leaving everyone, driver, crowd, and viewers, on edge, waiting for the next move in this unfolding mystery. The officer steps back toward her patrol car, her expression unreadable as she responds to the dispatcher. The driver fidgets, glancing nervously between the officer and the growing crowd. Look, this is all just a misunderstanding, they say quickly, their tone shifting to something almost pleading. The officer doesn't reply, instead returning to the car to check her computer. The seconds stretch into what feels like hours as everyone watches, tension thick in the air. Then, the officer steps back to the window, her face calm but resolute. You match the description of someone we've been looking for, she says, her words cutting through the silence. The driver freezes, their confident facade crumbling. That's ridiculous, they stammer, their voice rising. I haven't done anything wrong. Before the driver can say more, another patrol car pulls up, and a second officer steps out. The female officer exchanges a quick, meaningful glance with her colleague before turning back to the driver. I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle, she says firmly. But just as the driver reaches for the door handle, a small object falls from their lap, a folded piece of paper. The officer picks it up, unfolds it, and her eyes widen. The crowd leans in, the suspense unbearable. Well, she says, holding it up for the driver to see, this just got interesting. It's a ticket stub, proof they were miles away when the incident occurred. With a twist no one saw coming, the tension shifts, leaving everyone wondering how the story will truly end. The officer examines the ticket stub closely, her calm demeanor unwavering. She glances at the driver, whose tense expression has softened into a mixture of relief and frustration. This changes things, she says, her voice even. But you should have shared this earlier. The driver sighs, nodding slowly, realizing that their attempt to challenge the situation may have escalated it unnecessarily. After a quick conversation with the other officer and a few final checks, the female officer steps back to the window. You're clear to go, she says. But next time it's better to cooperate from the start. This could have been resolved much faster. The driver, still shaken but grateful, thanks her and pulls away as the crowd begins to disperse. As the officers regroup, the female cop glances at her partner and shrugs with a small smile. Just another day, she says, walking back to her car. Her calm professionalism leaves a lasting impression, reminding everyone that patience and clear communication can diffuse even the most tense encounters.